3 women killed and another seriously injured after a drunk driver careered off the road.
I think I'm going to die. The chilling Facebook poster predicted a 14-year-old's own death by drink driver.
Drunk driver flees scene after killing 2 of his friends in horrific crash.
Young man died at the scene as a result of multiple injuries.
Mother and daughter burned to death in crashed car.
My name's Grace Pearshouse. I'm 22 and like any other person my age, I enjoy going out for a drink. But I rarely stop to think about how I'm getting home. For some people, the answer to this question is to drink drive. Tonight I'll be looking into the consequences of this and the potential lowering of the limit. So I started out where every good night begins, the pub. I sat down with my friend Jen to find out about her experience in a car with a drink driver.
I noticed he was swerving a little bit, not driving straight, and he also mentioned that he was quite drunk and felt like he could pass out. It was particularly scary. There's a really narrow stretch of road where only one car can drive at a time, and we were going so fast that we didn't realise that a taxi was coming round the corner towards us, and we had to swerve to enable the taxi to get round us, and we almost crashed. At the time, I knew he was drunk, but I felt like it was important for me to get home. I didn't have the money to get a taxi. I felt like I had no option but to get in the car with him. Because I was quite drunk myself, I didn't realise the severity and the danger of getting in a car with a drunk driver.
Jen has been lucky this time, but this experience has opened her eyes to the dangers of drink driving.
I think it's definitely an issue. I know plenty of students that drink and drive, and I think it's not socially looked down upon enough for people not to do it. I think it should definitely be zero tolerance because people react differently to different measurements of drink. So someone could be fine on half a glass of wine, another person could be really affected by it. So I think it's so subjective that it should just be zero tolerance.
The Scottish Government are planning to lower the limit from 80 milligrams per 100 ml of blood to 50. I spoke to Director of Transport Michael McDonald to find out why.
I think we should be looking in the future to some sort of zero tolerance, but it's difficult to do that because there are people who generate alcohol in their bloodstream. The setting of it at 80 seemed right at the time, but we now know that it probably is no longer right, and that's why the Scottish Government intends to reduce it to 50. We will run a behavioural change campaign, which we do every year anyway, normally tied in with the festive campaign.
So now I know the limits are set to change. Michael also told me some of the signs to look out for when someone is drunk behind the wheel.
People driving with the window down in cold weather, chewing gum, mints in the dashboard are all good indicators, as is not putting your lights on, believe it or not. So a lot of drink drivers are caught because of something very, very silly.
But what do the police who deal with drink driving every day look for?
It can be anybody. You get them from obviously 17-year-old when they first pass their test up to and including older people. You can usually tell straight away the car swerves all over the place, they're braking when they don't need to brake, they're driving over cautiously.
Andrew Starkey has been a police officer for 10 years. I wanted to know just what consequences drink drivers face.
It's an automatic 1-year minimum ban from driving. There's also a fiscal penalty and there could also be a custodial penalty. And also if you've been caught for a second time, your car will be seized as well.
The most credible risk to people is the risk of being caught and the lifestyle consequences, because it's a bit of a domino effect. Losing your licence could also mean losing your job, and that puts at great risk also mortgages, house, and very much your relationships too. The other thing that people don't know about getting caught drink driving is that it also gives you a criminal record. And the way the law works, that could mean that, 43 years after that, it could still be impinging in parts of your life.
But being arrested is not the worst that can happen.
There was a family on the way back from the airport and they had been struck by the car behind. When I arrived, the 2 children were in a critical condition and the father had died on impact. The driver of the other car had been over the limit after a night out, just hadn't managed to brake in time.
For paramedics like Heather Naggs, accidents like this happen daily.
A lot of the accidents I've seen recently have been from drink driving. It's very common. People just don't seem to realise that something like this can happen to you. I don't think there should be any alcohol allowed if you're driving. It seems ridiculous to take something that's going to affect your reactions when you're driving a vehicle that can travel, 70, 80 miles an hour, a big hunk of metal flying down the motorway, and you can't control it. It's wrong.
Despite the government's plans for a lower limit, the choice to drink drive is a personal one. What needs to change is our attitude. How will you get home tonight?